Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
Good evening, everybody. Ernest Cram, concerned citizen and resident of Joliet.
Can you give your address, please, sir?
I live on the west side of Joliet. I prefer not to give my address, but I do live in Joliet.
Okay.
But of course, anybody can find that online. So I want to first acknowledge everybody up here. Thank you all for the great job you do and constantly do on a regular basis, because I know it's not an easy job to commit yourself to be a public servant. So I think that should be commended. It's very difficult. I just want to provide you all a few statistics. There's an upcoming election, and like I said before, I'm a concerned citizen, and I think there are issues that need to be addressed, not just in the city, but as a state, and of course as a country, but all politics are local. In Illinois, according to MSN.com, it is the third worst state for Black African Americans to live in. Has the fifth highest unemployment rate. 9% of whites live in poverty, whereas 30% of blacks do. The Chicago metropolitan area ranks as the fourth worst place in the country, not Illinois, for African Americans to live in. The average unemployment rate is about 18%, where it's about 7% for other groups. Because of this, I think it's very difficult for a lot of African Americans, particularly in Joliet, to progress because these issues aren't really addressed. And what I mean is, I know it's not the popular thing to do or say, but people don't think that legislation should be made specific for certain groups of people. But the issue with that is African Americans have been at the foundation of the American economy for a long time. And there was particular legislation that made it to where they could not advance as a society for hundreds of years. And to just leave them for another 150 or so years to fend for themselves, I think is an atrocity, and I think it's not something that makes Joliet look bad. It makes America as a whole look bad. And again, as I've said previously, I've been here, of course, before. I think that Joliet has an interesting position, and moving forward, I think that they can, you all as council, men and women, and the mayor can have particular legislation that advocates for this community, because if that's not done, then what you see on the east side, which I see is reminiscent of the south side of Chicago, is something that I think will continue to happen and get worse. If 30% of your residents live in poverty or have an unemployment rate that's 20 or whatever, that's a stain and that's a black eye on all of civilization, when we know that people are very capable of doing things that are, are progressing. Besides that, I also wanted to ask a few questions pertaining to previous issues. I wonder if there were any updates on the Lionel Allen police case, for instance. Eric Walker's police case. The July 13th police incident. I know in terms of other issues related to that, there was a racist graffiti string of events that happened in 2016. I wonder if that was ever resolved at all. The black contractors who considered at all for the Will County Courthouse, that was where $200 million was allocated. I wonder if anything is being done about that. Also, too, the truck stop that is being discussed about being built on Briggs Street. I wonder if the east side residents are being considered at all, because living on the west side, I just noticed there's a big discrepancy on how my side of town looks as opposed to the side of town my students live and where I work. And again, I look at Joliet as a community that should be progressive and forward thinking, and I know there are great organizations in this community. I just left a meeting for an organization called Speak Up. I know there are groups with police, the Black Police Officers Association, that does great things in our school. And I also want to commend the officers who are trying to get into the school and make the community safer. But as I said before, I think things can be done to speed up this process to make it better for all residents. And we know how it goes. If you lift the people at the bottom, then everybody else will subsequently be lifted as well. So thanks for listening. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak this evening?
Got a couple of things here. First, I'd like to thank the Jake for your award, your accreditation. That was great. The other thing is that on 11th, this coming Saturday, the Forest Park Community Center is giving their back-to-school jamboree out in the park, Forest Park. That's 1206 Cutter Avenue. We will be giving school supplies, free food, and games for the kids starting at 11 a.m. So come out. We're going from 11 to 3.
Yeah. Just one comment. Maybe you can help me with the name of the event. It was last Saturday night at downtown Joliet. It was an African American put on by Julia Alexander.
Yes, including you.
Including you. That was a phenomenal event. It was families, it was mixed age, old, young, and it went to, I think, till about 11, 12 o'clock that night.
Yeah.
The music was fabulous, and it was just a great evening. So we are progressing in that manner, but thanks to Julia and her crew for doing that. It was really a nice event.
Yeah, I think the mayor kind of spearheaded that a little bit, didn't you, Mayor?
A little bit. You know, we've talked about opening up the city for everybody with the Alto
Absolutely.
downtown. And Julia and her group, and it was a large group, really took the ball and ran with it. And thank you to Chamber of Commerce for working with them. Mary Jaworski, they know how to really
It was fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.